Everyone, my name is Median Schaffner, spelled M-I-D-I-A-N. Last name is S-H-O-F-N-E-R, and I serve as the CEO of the Epitome of Black Excellence and Partnership. We came here today in response to the indictment of Officer Matthew Neely, who was responsible for taking the life of Rajon Belt-Stubblefield on August 30th, 2025. A grand jury was conducted, and that grand jury found that there is enough evidence to secure a murder to and a reckless manslaughter charge. We are now in another phase of this journey and this process, because what we understand now is that the district attorney, Amy Patton, has now received her instructions from the community. When you invite the community into a space, you are going to receive the instructions that you were elected to follow. The good news for Amy Patton and her office is that you have the truth behind you. When you have the truth behind you, there is a righteousness that comes with that. And so we are anticipating and expecting pursuit of these charges with precision. We applaud District Attorney Amy Patton and her office for doing their diligence, and we want to ensure that the community is always informed intentionally through transparency. So we are also very expectant of a transparent process. Rajon Belt-Stubblefield joins a list of names of those that have been lost, particularly by the Aurora police, but this is a statewide crisis. So it is no surprise that the Rajon Belt-Stubblefield family has the support of the family of Kylan Lewis, Jalen Sebron, Corey Dillard, and all of the names that we carry. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Milo Schwab, who is with Ascend Council representing the family.
Everyone, thank you for staying with us. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Today was a long time coming. It's been nearly a year since Rajon was killed, but it's not just about Rajon, it's about this long list of police officers that have killed members of our community year after year after year. This has been a long time coming. But it's fitting too. Friday was, or would have been, Rajon's birthday. This past Friday. But today is an incredible day. Today is a day of accountability and fairness and justice. For too long, district attorneys decide these questions of whether police commit crimes on their own. And all too often, they decide no. Amy Patton had the courage to ask the community, to ask and to convene a grand jury. And this is what happens when the community is asked. Because the community will fairly and justly and equally apply our laws both to members of the community and the police. And they will make sure that police officers, when they commit crimes, are treated just as any other member of the community would be. And I hope that this is a model. I hope this is a model for the future for other district attorneys across this state when they see and are confronted with officer-involved killings, that they will bring the community in and decide, or to bring the community in to make sure and to make that decision for them. And I also want to applaud and commend the district attorney's office for the hard work they did in collecting all of the information, all of the evidence, and presenting to the grand jury an objective, fair representation of what happened. And today we've learned of that result, which is exactly how we knew it would be if the jury, or if the grand jury was presented with this evidence, an indictment for murder. I'll take your questions now.
Did the family end up suing either the city or APD in this case?
At the present time, no suit has been filed. That will be coming later, but today is a day to celebrate this process, the process working as it should.
Milo, what makes this case so clear-cut?
There's so much in it. There is from a car accident being confronted with a gun pull, to an officer punching someone in the back of the head, to an officer repeatedly shooting someone and knowing when they've stopped shooting, when they've stopped, or when that person has stopped moving, when that person is stopped, to then pause and then aim for the head and kill him. Every single step of the way, this officer made choices. We heard from Chief Chamberlain blaming Rajon from the jump. While Rajon laid in the streets still that night, Chief Chamberlain blamed him and defended that officer who now has been charged with murder. And for a year, that officer has been on the streets, has been wearing that uniform. Someone who has now been charged with murder, policing our streets. So no, I think it's important that we hold these police departments accountable as well.
Milo, what were the emotions that were running through you yesterday when you got the call about the indictment?
You know, I was surprised. I was a little choked up, honestly, but that was because of how I knew it would be for Tandra here. Because how I knew it would be for the entire family. You know, Rajon had 8 children, all of whom he loved, all of whom he spent a lot of time with. And I knew it would be important not just to Rajon's family, but to the other families that are here too, because too often, as we've seen, when an officer kills someone, it's swept under the rug by an elected district attorney instead of presented to the community to make their decision.
Speaking of in addition to that question, or that answer now, what was it that you believe had Amy Padden take this to a grand jury instead of just coming out and saying the officer was justified?
That's a question for Amy Padden. I don't know the answer to that, but you know, honestly, as a civil rights attorney, I've watched countless of these, and I think that this is the process that should be used every time. District attorneys should send this over to the community because honestly, police officers work with district attorneys daily, and it's not even intentional always that district attorneys are protecting them, but they are their coworkers. To have true faith in the system, that police officers are going to be held just as accountable, or accountable in the same ways and to the same standards as the rest of the community, we need to put it outside of that normal process, and we need to put it in the hands of the community.
Can I speak to that as well? I just want to also add, in the midst of that, I don't think it's not lost on me that District Attorney Amy Padden, as she's paid attention to the community itself, the families that have bravely came to City Council countless times, that have said my child's story or my loved one's story is not going to be erased. When the community gets activated, again, the district attorney is elected to serve the community. And the community has been very loud, very intentional, and very thoughtful in ensuring that Amy Padden understood the sentiment of not just the emotion from the families, but from the entire community, that we need different outcomes.
Milo, in terms of process, can I just ask you, for the family going through this process, ultimately, what do they hope changes with respect to police training and police procedure in a situation like this?
So the first thing is today. Today is that first step in what they've been hoping for, which is accountability, which is in our society, when you kill someone, and especially when you commit it without justification, you should be held criminally liable. And part of the process by which we adjudicate whether it truly was a crime is through the court system and not through the back doors of a district attorney's office. So today was that first step in creating that transparency and accountability that the family has been asking me for since day one. Now, we're going to be talking further in the future about the changes in the Aurora Police Department that we're going to be looking for, but we know that this is a police department that has a troubled and long history, and a police department and a police a police department that does not seem to learn from its mistakes, that still gets out there and defends its officers instead of allowing time for a true and impartial investigation. But, you know, as I mentioned, today is, I believe, what should be the beginning of a new process here in Colorado for how we approach the criminality of police shootings. This is only maybe the 5th time a police officer has been indicted for homicide in the last 35 years in the state of Colorado. It's a big deal. And it's because of the process, because the community was asked, is this how we want to be treated? Today's answer says it.
When you say that you were asked, did you say somebody asked you?
This is what the family's been telling me.
The family was asking.
Right from the beginning, it was, this is the most important thing, is that he be treated just like any other member of the community would be.
Is there an intent to sue from a civil standpoint if this case goes to trial?
We filed that intent to sue months ago, but again, today I want to focus on the process playing as it should have today.
Where do we go from here? What happens tomorrow? What happens next week?
So after this press conference, myself and the family are going to go up and meet with District Attorney Patton. My understanding is in the next 2 weeks, there will be another hearing for Matthew Neely. And the process will play out as it should in the courtroom. There will be an arraignment. There will be a plea, not guilty or guilty. There'll be that normal process and ultimately a trial.
I want to ask about the 2 paramedics in the case of Elijah McClain that
Okay.
the Court of Appeals overturned recently. Do you have any concerns or worries about this even going through the process and what happens after that?
I'll have to beg off on that. I haven't read that decision, but this is very different. This was a man holding a gun pointed at an unarmed person, someone he knew to be unarmed, and deciding to pull the trigger, aiming at his head.
Can I speak to that?
Should
So I'm going to speak to that real quick. As it pertains to the overturn in the Elijah McClain case, one thing I will say is we understand the power of taking things one day at a time. We also know that this is a systemic issue. So, of course, we are concerned about what systems can do because we've seen it over and over and over. But what we always have is expectancy. We always hold expectancy that this system will do what it says it's supposed to do on paper. And if on paper they do what they're supposed to do, Matthew Neely will get his due process. Ironically, that's the due process that he denied Rajon Belt-Stubblefield. So with that, again, we understand what these systems do. When we hear a chief of police touting a report about how crime and violence has gone down in a city, but we don't tell the story in its totality, that violence does not include the statistics of your police, we know that the system is at play. But again, we are watching intentionally. We do truly believe that District Attorney Amy Patton is going to pursue this case with precision and is going to do the due diligence that she is called to do.
Is it possible to hear from the family at all today? Can you speak to them?
I think after this press conference, we can do some individual conversations, yeah.
Can I, in order for us to get that into the early show, is there a friend or just someone who can give us something now? And if it's no, that's okay.
We can coordinate that.
Later?
We can coordinate that right now.
Okay, thank you. Just do it here.
We're not going to do it in front of the bay of
Okay,
cameras now.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of
Thanks,
course.
Tom.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.